Yes, hello and welcome to the Any Given Sunday Australia podcast. Divisional previews. We're on to episode 5, the NFC West. Now, you boys dropped some pretty big news about this NFC West late last week that was breaking to me. I've obviously learned a little bit more about it since. But Danny, this episode has got some fire written all over it.
Yeah, it's going to be absolutely hot, almost as hot as your intro, which was the fourth take.
Not all your fault. Some technical issues. It's all right.
It was technical up high in my brains. I was just, but we made it. At Charlie Pick, let's knock this on the head nice and early, mate. You broke some injury news for the NFC West, but you've got your own injury news.
That's right. I'm a bit dinged, a bit dinged up at the moment.
Was it an O-line issue? What are we talking?
It was a traditional preseason skirmish, just right on the line of scrimmage with a 5-year-old who I was tickling, who headbutted me in the eye and absolutely won. And every morning at kindergarten drop-off, he's quite proud of the fact that he gave his dad a black eye.
Boys, it's my work. That's my work right there. Nice. All right, let's get straight into this NFC West, Danny boy. We did speak about how fire this is. Let's start off with some of the additions and in the draft that we have at the Rams. Had to just check that one.
We're starting with the Rams. We're going to start with the Rams because probably the biggest addition is Davante Adams, at least the biggest name that we're going to be talking about. Had an interesting time at the Jets, also probably an interesting time at the Raiders, but they were trying to reconnect him back up with his Packers QB, Aaron Rodgers, when they took him to the Jets. Didn't work out exactly as they wanted, but he's like, get me back to the West so I can be nice and warm again. So I think it's an absolutely huge addition. It's just going to be who's throwing to him.
It is going to be who's throwing to him. But also the way that Davante Adams sits there, you can imagine he's excited because you've got Puka Nacua, who is emerging as he's your absolute fantasy. You want to take him as a receiver. He's such a star. Under double teams, he's still catching the ball. That really frees Davante Adams to go anywhere on the field. He's still fast enough to be on the outside, but also as a slot receiver. What a terrifying possibility of him just working the slot and just taking everything.
They've also upgraded their offensive line and added Oregon tight end Terrence Ferguson in the second round. So just looking like whoever is going to be throwing the ball is going to have a lot more time, which you don't need much time in the NFL to be open.
Well, they already had a pretty elite defense last year, and that was keeping him in a lot of games. So just upping their offense, and exactly what you're saying. If Davante Adams can step in as a wide receiver 2, well, he's probably the wide receiver 2 that you want, isn't he?
Yeah. Well, was he technically wide receiver 2 behind Garrett Wilson?
I think he was technically, but I don't believe they had a functional quarterback to be able to tell who was wide receiver 1 or 2.
You get a second black eye if you're going to keep going.
I'm just going to try and get an Aaron Rodgers dig in every divisional preview that we can. His washness is relevant in all places. But I don't think we have any idea of how good Davante Adams still is based on, as you said, the experience of the Jets or the Raiders. And he's had a fair amount of rest.
That's true.
He hasn't been worked into the ground at all compared to who he's replacing, which is Cooper Kupp, who you would say has been worked like a draft horse, so hard for the last few years, and really carrying a lot of injuries along the way. Davante Adams is he's a pony ready to run.
That's a perfect little segue into the Seahawks. Cooper Kupp obviously going there, so it's really not one of the subtraction from the opposite from addition from the Rams, where Davante comes in, slots in nicely. Cooper Kupp going to the Seahawks, but having Sam Darnold, who's just signed a massive contract to go there, was looking amazing at the Vikings before everyone shipped him off, and it was a bit of a surprise. But how's he going to slot in there?
Well, absolutely massive surprise he's not still playing for the Vikings with what he was doing there. Having that record, going up against the Lions to take out the number 1 team in the NFC, which was huge. No one was expecting that. Sam Darnold was really coming in as a backup to JJ McCarthy before he got injured, and then just completely took over a team, new system, new everything. Now he's gone to the Seahawks and is going to have to do the same. They've also had some subtractions to the team. But Cooper Kupp's obviously a massive in, and having him as your vet wide receiver, someone you can build early chemistry with, I think is going to be good for Sam Darnold. Just a few question marks if he can go into a new team and perform the exact same way that he did with the Vikings.
is Sam Darnold better than Geno Smith? Because they were still a very good side with Geno Smith.
Do you know, it's funny. I don't have an answer to that question because I believe this is the season we can answer that question. How much of the Sam Darnold resurgence at the Vikings was coaching? I mean, we saw Cousins thrive there under that system. It could be it's a very quarterback-friendly system and a coach who knows how to coach a quarterback. It could be that the Vikings are a better place to be a quarterback. We don't know what Darnold's going to be like at the Seahawks. There's every chance that Geno Smith is a better quarterback than Sam Darnold. I think if you were starting a franchise and that was the two quarterbacks you were choosing from, I don't think it's an easy decision at all. So I think it remains to be seen. He doesn't have DK Metcalf to throw to over in...
Yeah, Smith and Jigba's really got to try and step up there, doesn't he?
That's right. And it is time. I think pressure's on Smith and Jigba as well. Like, this is your shot. This is the space. Live up to the hype that was around you when you got drafted. And Cooper Kupp is a great piece, but they haven't drafted a wide receiver one. They haven't drafted an ex-receiver who is going to be that big, explosive play down the field target for Sam Darnold. So we're going to find out.
There's no JJ there. We know that much.
Yeah.
He's not just going to lob it up down like third down and just hope for the best. So.
I think what we can say, though, is that if what is around him is right, Darnold is a good enough quarterback to win a lot of games. And I don't think that goes away. I think he now has the confidence that he's shown that he can do it. Maybe this is the best situation for him.
We'll find out soon enough. The Cards, Danny Boy, they've upgraded mainly on the D line.
Yeah, so just stocked up. A few vets have come across, but my favourite one of all of these is the edge, Josh Sweat. Obviously came from my Birds, massive loss, but every time he sacked someone, he did the old wipe his brow, wipe that sweat off.
That was so in sync.
But he's just a sack machine, and if the Cardinals can improve on D, hopefully it keeps them in those tighter games a little bit more than what we have seen previously.
And they've had a very young offense as well. They're going to grow together, so the Cardinals could be a little bit of a surprise.
I think so. Once again, this is where I think we start to be able to make a final decision about a quarterback.
Yeah, Kyler.
I think Kyle Murray, he has flashes of brilliance. But he's so vastly inconsistent. But sometimes you can see the line's not working for him. The targets aren't there for him. It's not all his fault. But this is a prove-it season for him as well to justify the money that he is getting. Who's their wide receiver they took in the first round last year? Is it Harrison Jr.?
Yeah,
Harrison Jr., who
he is jacked.
But he also really underperformed last year.
Yeah.
They expected him to
He had a couple of good games to finish.
Yeah,
which
I know,
always
but
gives you that excitement.
I guess we always say this, coming from college into NFL is a completely different game. But everyone expected him to hit the ground running and be that wide receiver one from the start. And you could see that in fantasy. Everyone was taking him higher than he probably should have gone. And then it was, I would say, definitely the start of his season was a disappointment compared to how highly he was hyped. So if he's not stepping up and actually becoming that wide receiver one and taking over and helping Kyler Murray be that better quarterback that we all know that he could be, if he's not doing that, well, then the Cardinals aren't really going to be there. Think
about that draft, though. I think this is a part of the story for the whole season. It was the wide receiver draft. Remember all the heat in that draft, the 24 draft. It was all about these receivers, and it was like you could have picked any of them, and you were going to end up with a great receiver.
He went up at 3, didn't he?
Yeah,
he was high.
He was very, very high, and some of that was pedigree. It was felt that he had the good genes, good catching genes. But I think it's interesting to see which of those wide receivers, because the results were very mixed in that receiver class that was so hyped. Which receivers have put in the work in the offseason to improve their games? There are some that we'll get to as we talk about other teams and divisions as we go along, that you can see that they knew they weren't good enough last season and they've put in the work to thrive this season. We will see, he's obviously hit the weight room.
He's jacked.
We'll see about how his game has improved.
It's normally a direct comparison, isn't it? How jacked you are and how well you can catch the ball. The two just go hand in hand.
His mittens are big, so if they're jacked, he'll be fine. And the 49ers, it's probably not so much about players they have brought in, because they don't have, technically CMC's brought in because he was missing the whole of last year. But they haven't really brought much in. More probably the DC coming back.
Yeah, so Rob Saleh is coming back. So he was the Jets head coach, then got fired because of Aaron Rodgers. Where did he go after? He went to the Packers, didn't he?
He was a little.
Was it advisor?
Yeah,
advisor at the
advisor
Packers?
for the offense about how the defense is going to get to them. So
Yeah, but now he's returned to the 49ers, and he was actually their DC way back in 2020. So, has a little bit of continuity with them. And also another major departure is the fact that Debo's gone to the Commanders. That was huge news coming out of there. And then we're looking at their wide receiver room, and there are some big holes and question marks going into there. So we've got Ayuk not returning until week 6 because he's coming back from an ACL injury. And then they've got Jordan Jennings currently listed as their wide receiver 1 at the moment, which is pretty wild to think about when he showed up in some games last year, but he
was a big third down man.
Yeah, but he's not your number 1 option, is he? Well, he's not the one I personally would want on my team.
Well, Ricky
Pearsall. See, that to me, Ricky Pearsall is going to be one of the stories of this season. I would say in my dynasty draft, I tried very hard to take him and he got picked right before I had a chance. I think he has a very big season ahead of him for a couple of reasons. He's enormously talented. He had some big games last year despite being shot a few weeks before the season started. And
funny,
is there anything more American? But I will say that it's a perfect opportunity for him right now. It is wide open for those first 4 or 5 weeks for him to be the target.
Oh, right up to 6 weeks, really.
Yeah, and then you think about it, like Ayuk's coming back, but how many wide receivers come back from an ACL and are getting
Straight
15
away.
targets
straight away
in a game? It's not going to happen. I think Pearsall, he is going to be an outlet. I think he's going to be. I think he's going to be Purdy's chosen option. They've built some chemistry, and I think he's going to have a really big season.
Probably behind George Kittle, though.
I was going to say, let's not forget about the big guy, George Kittle.
George Kittle's his safety blanket, though, the same way.
I was talking receivers, not tight ends.
Yeah.
A receiving tight end. I'm pretty sure he's the only tight end that was on the show, receiver.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah,
That's
so
a
I'm
very good
going to
point.
claim him. I'm going to claim him as a receiver.
I reckon they got a receiving running back too, by the way he used to catch the ball. So.
Yeah, but I think, he's Purdy's greatest get-out-jail-free card is definitely still going to be George Kittle. But do they have enough offensive weapons? Like last year we saw them fall apart. I think they're only a 6-win team. They came last in this division when a few years prior they were in the Super Bowl with Purdy at the helm.
And he's been paid now. So
And he's been paid.
Does that make a difference?
I think it's a very, very tough hill to climb for the 49ers to get back up into Super Bowl contention or even be talking about him in the Super Bowl.
So that when we're talking players to watch, it's probably more that wide receiver room, isn't it? With how they're going to, whether they show up or who's going to be that number 1. But another one that I want to touch on, we spoke about Marvin Harrison being, he's come out Jack, but Trey McBride, he was that safety blanket at tight end. Always seems to be the big tight ends. I think he had the most catches before a touchdown last year, so he was huge, Trey McBride. So if he can complement Harrison Jr., then that'll help the Cards go a long way, I think.
That's right. And it's interesting. I think that's absolutely true. And getting back to Kyler Murray, I think he is a creature of habit in a lot of ways. He's not that receiver. Yeah, a creature of multiple platforms, but still a creature of habit.
It.
But I think he isn't a Mahomes or an Allen who really takes what the defense gives him and finds the receivers that are open. He's not good at getting to a third or fourth read, naturally, or hasn't, that's not part of his game yet.
Quickly,
that's right. He will escape the pocket as opposed to see if the third read is developed. But that does have the effect that he has his favourites and he'll hit the tight end when he can. And, I think that's true of that particular situation. But interesting to see what the Cardinals do. What's their identity? Can Harrison Jr., McBride, and Kyler Murray actually establish an offensive identity so you know what they're doing? Dortch still ends up having massive games because no one else is pulling their weight. Like another sneaky late fantasy draft there. If you're not sure, he'll get some touches. But yeah, can they establish an identity on offense and as a team? That's their only path forward.
No one knows. That's the thing. So that's the exciting thing.
The Cards have been knocking on the door, though. They seem like they should be at that point where they're taking that next step. And if like you say, Marvin Harrison Jr. and Kyler Murray take that next step, well, really, they should be in playoff contention.
I can't just get Kyler Murray running around with the ball, looking like a 5-year-old chasing his dad. Can't get that out of my head every time I think about him.
The helmet is just too big.
That's funny. Let's go to that breaking news that you guys broke last week, or just teased last week and then into today. Matty Stafford in a bit of grief.
In a lot of grief. There's no other way to say it. He is an aging quarterback. There is a big question over this season for Matt Stafford, which is this his last season? Is he trying to have one great season before he leaves the game? That's an open question. It's an open question at the Rams. You talk to anyone who follows the Rams closely, that is on their mind. He got a big contract there, but he is aging and he has had back injuries in the past that have hampered him significantly. He's carrying a back injury at the moment. And you think about it, he played some incredible football on the way home last season. But if you remember, he started the season injured. He wasn't, and they had a very tough start to the season. He played incredible football towards the end. But with this back flaring up,
Do we know what the injury is?
It's a disc, but it's like a ruptured disc in his back. I'm not sure which one.
Wow.
And as an athlete who's carried some disc injuries myself, I had a herniated bulging disc that really wiped me out massively. Yeah.
You're a disc man.
Disc bruzzies. We're just a couple of disc bruzzies here on the couch, and that's probably why we are on the couch.
Yeah.
But it's a completely debilitating injury.
I'm not sure, though, if Matt Stafford's recovery, like mine, has involved water aerobics with the Dawn Fraser lookalikes at the Northcote swimming pool. I did a lot of that back in the day.
You haven't seen it, he's been there.
But so he's got I think it's a ruptured disc in his back. And part of the story here is what we've been told and what the press have been told by the Rams through the preseason. So OTAs wasn't there, minicamp wasn't there, didn't take any snaps, and they were saying he's day-to-day monitoring, should be back for the preseason games and the organised practices. And a lot of the beat writers out of the Rams were saying if he's not back for those preseason games, that's when we start to hit the panic button. Well, he didn't make them back for that. He's not back for that. And they said, well, then he'll be at the combined practice after the first preseason game. And he wasn't there for that. What we've also found out is, and this is incredible, I've personally never heard of this in sport before. He hasn't been getting your cortisone injections in the back. He hasn't been getting any of that. He's been getting an epidural.
Oh, yeah.
So that is...
That's just to relieve pressure and all that kind of stuff, isn't it?
Well, it's to take away. It's like a nerve blocker in the spine to take away all pain below it.
That's right. But it is injected directly into the spinal cord. Yeah. That is a serious thing to undertake. We take it for granted because it occurs in pregnancies all the time.
Pregnancy do it all the time.
But in pregnancy, it's a serious thing as well. If you get the epidural wrong, you can not walk again or be in acute pain for the rest of your life. Are two things that can happen if you get an epidural wrong. But that's a serious form of anaesthetic just to get him through the pain of his back to hopefully get him out training. That's serious enough.
It's serious enough that this could potentially force a retirement.
That's absolutely true. Now, he has been back at training in the last few days. He has thrown footballs. But
as soon as he gets a hit, though,
as soon as he gets a hit...
He's not scared to put himself on the line.
Yeah, and he's always been a tough player that will stay in the pocket and make the throw. That's always been the way that he's played, which is probably why he's got a fucked up back.
Didn't he had a spinal concussion, I reckon, a couple of years ago, where they were like, oh, no.
That feels made up, but all right, I'll believe it. Yeah.
That's why it sticks in my mind that he missed probably 3 or 4 games, I reckon. They're like, it's, I don't know, vibrated spine or something, but yeah, he's had a lot of spine problems.
That's right. And it's a shame. I will say it's a shame because I believe if we go back over the tapes, I might have made a burger bet just after the end of the season.
With me?
With you, I think so. But I said it was going to. I said it was going to be a Rams-Bills Super Bowl, and because the
markets are saying that you're wrong.
They are saying I'm wrong now because and I look, I wonder if I can if I could get a do-over for that bet purely because that was before Stafford's back became an issue. But that's
all my burger bet.
Yeah.
But the rules changed.
Yeah, no. But what I'll say is like that changes the outlook of the whole season in the NFC and for the NFL because they were ascendant towards the end of last season. I almost feel like if the playoffs were 2 or 3 weeks later, they would have pushed the Eagles a bit harder than they would have, and I think they would have been difficult to handle in the Super Bowl had they been taking on the Chiefs or the Bills, whoever. They were a really good team towards the end of last season. All that momentum is lost because there's been no preseason with the quarterback. Have we ever seen a team whose quarterback has not trained for the whole preseason that has done anything other than started about 0-4?
Yeah. We're talking about the Bengals?
Yeah, talking about the Bengals.
We're talking exactly about
speaking of injured quarterbacks that love staying in the pocket.
So, 2 questions for you. Are they going 0-4?
I'd have to look at their their schedule.
No.
But yeah, no. I think they're going to have a really rough start to this. Even if he is back, if they are 2-2 after 4 games, I'll be really surprised.
Well, yeah, surely they're not going to put him back if he's getting epidurals. Like, that's not a risk that the Rams really want to take. And yes, we probably should have looked at the schedule before we started filming, but we didn't. So we don't really know who they're playing. But then they've got Jimmy G as their backup, which is like every time he steps into a backup role in this exact position is when he thrives. He
goes to the Super Bowl.
Yeah,
like that's what he does.
They
as
were
a backup.
4-0 the last time he was a backup.
Yeah,
the Patriots.
Yeah, so give him his own team. For some reason, it just doesn't seem to work for him all that well. But give him a team as a backup, which is what he's in. He actually does perform quite well. And I think the Rams organization kind of needs to lean back on that. And if they got to sit Stafford for the first 4 games, sit him. Like this. Yeah, it's either you can play him and he can.
It doesn't sound like it's we'll sit him for 4 games though. It'll be like week to week. You know, he might be right this week and next week he's no good. So,
but I think you're right though. As a management thing of all the teams in the NFL, I don't think anyone's got a better backup quarterback situation. Like he's a guy that knows the NFC West because he played for the Niners. He's familiar with the division.
He's not the highest paid, I can tell you that.
Not the highest, but also whilst he's had his fair share of injuries over the years as well, he's got experience. Nothing's going to overwhelm him. He's played in the biggest games there are, and he can perform in that position. They're in a fortunate situation that they can perhaps weather this storm if they rest him properly. And I think it's a great shame if we don't see Stafford take the field properly, at least for the last 9-10 games of the season to show what these Rams can do.
Well, let's get into hot takes. My one's straight up. The Rams are missing the playoffs.
Wow, that is huge.
You're going to tell me his back's cooked. It sounds like it's going to be playing up all season. I don't know what they're paying to miss, but they're not making the playoffs.
That is a massive.
That's a big call. That's a big call.
Yeah, well,
how spicy are you giving that? I don't think it's that spicy.
It's not that spicy.
I don't think Jimmy G is getting them to the playoffs. Stafford, even a 50% Stafford could get them to the playoffs.
Jimmy G is thrown to Davante Adams and
look how they went
Puka Nacua.
Look how they went to the Raiders. He was useless. Couldn't throw over a jam team. I can throw further than him.
Well, that's the thing. That is Jimmy G's issue. Is he likes those short, sort of,
You've got two guys. That can stretch the field, and I don't know if he can stretch the field.
And we've spoken about it before with Jimmy G.
Yeah, Stenson Bennett. He's 45 years old. He's about to retire too. I think Jimmy G's the youngest one in that squad in the locker room.
Wow. All right, that's a very hot take.
Is there any more coming out of this division? Or?
I've got a spicy one. I reckon the Cardinals are actually going to make the playoffs. Ooh. So I think Unibet's given us $2.50 for them to make the playoffs. So they're probably on my side with this because $2.50 is really short for a Cardinals team that have just kind of been on the cusp the whole time. But as I mentioned earlier, Kyler Murray needs to take that next step. Marvin Harrison Jr. needs to take that next step. And then their connectivity together as a wide receiver and a QB needs to be at 100% at the next level.
I know this is the first preseason that you've done with us, but Danny says this every year. Every year, the last 2 years at least.
This is the year.
Cardinals, this is the year.
1 year it's going to stick, and this is the year.
Yeah, no, $2.50. That's nice. That's nice. All right, let's get into the overs-unders. They're brought to us by our good friends at Unibet. It's a very interesting mixed bag, this one.
It's huge. I'm going to start with the lowest over-under, and that's the Seahawks to get over 7.5. They're paying $1.72 to go over. Okay.
$7.5.
New QB at the helm, new head coach. No, same head coach.
Same coach.
Same head coach. Second year head coach.
Yeah.
I was close enough.
Junior head
In the
coach.
words
Junior
of
head coach.
in the words of Selena Meyer on Veep, continuity with change.
I don't know who that is.
You know the show Veep? It's Julia Louis-Dreyfus is the vice president. Continuity with change.
Yeah.
I went straight over my head, but anyway, we'll carry on. Are the Seahawks going over 7.5?
Yep. Yeah, I think Darnold will go well there.
Yeah, I reckon he's going to surprise us all. I'm going overs as well.
Yeah, I think overs as well.
Well,
Nothing controversial about that.
No, like an 8-9 win team, sure. I think
Smith and Jigba, I reckon he's probably a big part of that.
Yeah, I'll have a little
if he can take
breakout
that.
year.
Yeah.
And next pick is the Cardinals. Their over-under is sitting at 8.5. To go over is $1.83. Well, if they're making the playoffs, for me, they're definitely going over. So my pick's out the way.
It's really funny. Like there are some of these where they set the over under that it's like annoyingly
Perfect.
Spot on.
It's like
Yeah.
I would almost. What's the odds for 8.5? So 8 and a draw. I think it's a pretty good chance.
Yeah.
I think that's exactly where they're at, and I don't think there's anything, despite your seasonal prediction of them making the playoffs. I don't think there's anything to give confidence that they're going over over that. Like
But they're
Kyler
gonna
Murray
win
hasn't
games,
shown
aren't
it.
they?
They are going to win games and they're going to annoy people. They're going to ruin some people's seasons. That's what they're for. That's what the Cardinals are for. But I
Sure,
would say,
Arizona loves to hear that.
yeah.
They
Well,
ruined the Packers seasons a few times. That was back in the day.
so I'm going to go. Yeah, I reckon they're going to get 8. I'm going to go under.
Ooh, nice. I'll go over then. I was just going to get whatever you went. I was doing the opposite.
Yeah.
It's going to be a good
Obviously, for
division if they
me,
go.
Yeah.
my hopefulness and my yearly prediction that they're going to go to the
Yeah.
playoffs,
Because they're
I'm
going to
gonna
have to
go
get
big
10. They're going to have to get 10 plus.
10 plus, yeah. Which, yeah, if they surprise a few teams, they can do it. I got faith. So much confidence. The Rams over under is sitting at 9.5, and that's paying at $1.72.
I'm going unders.
Yeah, really all
Stafford,
depends
no.
on Matthew Stafford for that one, doesn't it?
I think Jimmy G can win 10 games with the Rams. How about that?
I
Chuck that in my hot take.
Yeah.
That's a hot take. I'm going to go over for the Rams.
I'm also going to go over for the Rams. Like you, for some reason, have you forgotten Jimmy G as a backup QB?
No, I remember it.
Him as a starting QB is something different, but him as a backup QB coming into the season as a QB2, he always seems to do well.
I would say their defense is no joke.
He might be a QB1 the entire time.
But he can
Jared
do
Verse
that. He
coming
can
into
do that
year
too.
2, he's going to be very good.
Yeah, I just think I think they are a very complete football team, except for their clapped out old donkey of a quarterback. No, like
Clapped out, but when he gets on the field,
yeah, when he gets on the field,
superstar.
he is.
Those Northcote women have done their job.
That's
He's
exactly
good.
right. He's rehabbed nicely at the Sports and Aquatic Centre.
I think, yeah.
I think even Jimmy G will get him to 10.
Nah,
So I'm
Jimmy
going
G unders, Stafford overs. If I can do that.
You can't. So you picked unders
I'm going
and we're moving on and we'll bookmark this. So the 49ers over under, this blew my mind when it was set at this, is at 10.5. After all the question marks, so to go over that, sorry, is paying $2. So it's the least favourable. So I think they're going to slightly under, but 10.5. So they're saying they're potentially an 11 or a 10 win team. That is huge with all these question marks that we've just talked about in their wide receiver room and who's actually going to be taking the number one snaps. Like 10.5 is a lot of wins, or like 11 wins or 10 wins. Even 10 wins to me is a lot for this 49ers team with a couple of question marks. They're coming out for 6-win season and we're predicting them to go 10 wins. I'm going under.
I've got a big case for this, so.
It felt ambitious. Like 11 wins feels ambitious based on the experience of them last year. I do, however, believe in Brock Purdy. I believe that.
You also believe in Jimmy G, so you're a bit dicey at the moment.
I believe in all 49ers replacement quarterbacks.
Trey Lance?
Trey Lance, no, he was a starter, and I don't believe in him. So,
I've got a grouse stat about it.
so I think I might know that stuff. I think I might know it. Yeah. But because they take the division at that, don't they?
That's the division.
Yeah.
CMC is back.
How back is he?
Well, he's no
went
longer
to
got
Germany.
I'm taking this too seriously. He went to Germany for.
the Achilles rehab. Instead of Northcote, he went to Germany.
Wouldn't you go to Greece for Achilles rehab? But too much.
Took me a second.
Yeah, it's all right. I'm taking the over. I'm taking the over.
Yes. I'm also going overs because the wide receiver room is their one and only problem. Right?
Fair.
Their defense is still elite. They've added to it, so it's elite. Joey Bosa's
Joey Bosa.
brother will be there, Nick. Kittle's ready to go again. CMC's back. I do think Purdy can work this system. Shanahan's still there. 10.5 is just a lot of wins, but I'm going overs. $2, too juicy.
You got to take it at $2. But even though I've said that I'm going under, $2 is
$2.
Yeah.
I think
that's the
if they can
carrot.
sort out if Pearsall can, he played some bloody good games, and Jennings can do a job at wide receiver 1 for 6 weeks, and if AU can come back and be healthy enough, especially towards the back end of the season, and they're going to have a favourable draw because they finished third or fourth.
Who's their other running back?
Fourth, they finished
Who's their other running back with CMC? Is
Mason still there?
Nah, he signed somewhere else.
He got arsehole out.
Yeah. Well, he performed incredibly well.
Because I think that's interesting as well. I mean, CMC, if he's back, that's great. If he's playing the way he was 2 years ago, absolutely. He's like he's impossible to stop. But he's also like chronically injured. So who else is going to get that run game happening? I think there's a question there over running back room. But I think
It's probably a name.
probably someone.
Yeah,
we probably should have done that.
Yeah,
research,
that's
but
anyway.
we can't know everyone.
No, we can't. You got to be across some people and everyone. All right, beautiful. I'm going overs. $2, too juicy. Good NFC West. Like I said, there's so much talking points, and Stafford is not just an NFC West. He is an NFL talking point. So that'll be huge. AFC West up next, boys.
This is, is this the juiciest of all the divisions, the AFC West? I think it's going to be. I think
There's
that
some good
division
talking
is
points.
potentially the story of the season.
I've got some juice coming out ready to go. So yeah.
Can't wait.
I'm going to finish off with that one little stat. What do you reckon that stat was that I had for you?
I believe your stat about Trey Lance is that he has started in more preseason games than in-season games. He started
17 preseason games and 16 normal season games as a number 3 pick.
Trey Lance, make him dance.
That's it.
Do you know what, though? I picked up Trey Lance in my dynasty as like my 4th quarterback, right? And I'll say this. He looked good in his preseason games this year.
He's at the Chargers. Herbert's getting...
For the first Herbert, who's been repeatedly injured,
maybe right.
All I'm saying is Trey Lance. A lot of the reports coming out of the games and watching him were
this is the biggest hot take.
The game's really slowed down for him. And,
all right. See you next week, boys.
Go Bills.
He's had it every time.
All right, it was quick.